On that subject, so clearly Biden is sustaining a lot of political heat, both from his own Democratic coalition. He's sustaining a lot of heat from global pressure. You look at those UN votes, and it is a large part of the world's countries lined up against Israel and the United States. On that leverage question, the administration officials I talk to say they feel that they've kind of needed to take this public-private approach, a two-track approach. One, the public bear hug, the embrace of Israel, and then in private applying pressure. They say that if they had broken with Israel or been tougher on Israel publicly early on, that they'd have less leverage now, that the situation would be even worse. And part of that, they say, that the Israelis generally have enough munitions already kind of in their storehouses to wage whatever war they're going to wage on Gaza. How fair do you think that line of reasoning is? I don't want to call them excuses, but is that a fair analysis from the U.S. administration on their relations with the Israelis?
Right. So let's be clear about one thing. And I think, Michael, your question is really central. The Biden administration policy is part of a broader piece. And let's be clear, I work for administrations, both Republican and Democrat. American presidents do not like to have public fights with Israeli prime ministers. It's messy, it's awkward, it's potentially politically costly. And over time, they probably would argue it's counterproductive. When America presses Israel, see Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford and Henry Kissinger in 1975 over the second disengagement agreement. See Bush 41 or James Baker in the run-up to the Madrid Peace Conference over housing loan guarantees. There have been examples. Reagan suspended the delivery of F-16s when the Israelis extended administrative control to the Golan Heights, and did it again when the Israelis bombed PLO headquarters in Beirut. Eisenhower in 1956 probably exercised the most leverage and the most pressure by threatening to sanction, and he would have gone ahead and done it had the Israelis not withdrawn from Sinai in the wake of their combined operations with the British and the French. But by and large, pressure on Israel from any administration, not just this one, has been the clear exception rather than the rule. And now, this is unlike most other instances. You've got you have two traumatized societies. But you have a traumatized Israel in the wake of October 7th. And I think the notion of what occurred in those 48 hours has had a profoundly important impact on President Biden. The indiscriminate killing, the willful slaughter, the sexual predation, and the rapes, and the taking of hostages. Many of whom have been mistreated and abused, and some may have been murdered in Gaza, I think set a new sort of frame, if you will, of accommodation among the senior members of the president's foreign policy team, beginning with Joe Biden. And while I think the administration came late to the game in expressing the sort of empathy and bonding with the catastrophe that has been wrought on the population of Gaza, there's a clear sense, and there always has been, that the special relationship with the state of Israel sometimes it becomes an exclusive relationship. I don't think that's happened here. I think the administration has pressed the Israelis. I don't think there would have been a scintilla, for example, of any humanitarian aid, however short that aid has been, given what Gaza needs, without American pressure. I don't think there would have been any hostages released without the United States engaging on this issue. I also think that the Israelis might have preempted Hezbollah in Lebanon during the first week of, in the aftermath of October 7 without American pressure. So there has been pressure. There has been pressure, but I think you're quite right. I think the administration believes, whether you call it a bear hug or applying, creating trust and confidence, so at moments when it really counted, the administration would apply pressure. It's worked partly. Uh, I don't think the strategy has been by any means a resounding success. Again, I think the end of January, if there is a moment of truth in the U.S.-Israeli relationship, and there usually never is, I think that the end of January will give us a better sense of whether or not the administration believes its strategy has been working, and if not, if it hasn't, how is the administration going to adjust?